The Global Nutcracker podcast.
Hello, everyone. Again, we're back at the Global Nutcracker podcast, this time with a very special guest, Dr. Abdalla Kablan. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today, especially at my favorite event throughout the year, Web Summit. So I'm glad.
Fantastic. So, you're the founder and CEO of Delta Wealth Partners. Can you tell me more about it?
It's such a good question because, founder and CEO feels like I'm back in startup mode. However, Delta World Partners is a venture capital firm based out of Abu Dhabi. I founded it after a long career in building companies, tech companies, some of which were successful, some were miserable failures, but I learned more from the failures than the successes. I've been blessed in the sense I had more than one good exit under my belt. The last being the exit of my company Wiser AI in 2021 to Zynsec, which was a Nasdaq or still is Nasdaq listed company. And after that, my wife came and said, "Please don't start another tech company.
Okay,
Let's
the
take a
real
bit of a
boss
break."
came in. The real boss came on.
So to circumvent the ban on me building another tech company, I decided to now invest and mentor and give my time and knowledge and wisdom to entrepreneurs and founders that are practically trying to do what I've been doing in the past 15 years, which is using AI to disrupt on an intellectual property level. Not because AI is cool, now everyone's talking about AI, but as you know, I'm a PhD in AI since 2011. Back then, when I meet someone and I say, "Hi, I have a PhD in AI," it used to be the end of the conversation. Now it's become the start of a really good conversation. And for that reason, we scout the world for the best and breed diamonds in the rough that are, using AI to solve real world problems. However, someone on stage earlier was joking with me, said, "Dr. Abdullah, I don't think you just built a VC operation. You have built another tech company because we've built our own proprietary AI that literally scans the whole world through all the sources to again identify these diamonds in the rough that have not been explored yet, that have patented or proven IP technology that is architecturally AI, not trying to disrupt layer ones, because I don't think companies should try to go after OpenAI and Gemini and Llama and Lambda, but the ones that are within the layer two that have built their own proprietary architectures to interact with layer ones, which is a sweet spot that not many other VCs are able to understand because they come from a financial background. We come from an
No,
entrepreneurial
they come from
background.
an entrepreneur
When
background.
I built Delta World Partners, again, coming from an entrepreneurial perspective, I always love a problem and solution. So I always identify the problem and the solution. So the problem of having a lot of ingenuity innovation that's coming out from the Western Hemisphere that is still not untapped globally because of overregulation, a lot of competition, and lack of capital. Being based in the GCC, we're welcoming these companies to come and prosper and grow. We're not forcing anyone to move anywhere, but we're giving access to markets. We're giving intellectual capital. But most importantly, we're discovering what we call the undiscoverable at the moment. So this is in a nutshell what Delta World Partners is.
Quite the journey. 2011, a PhD in AI. In 2011, I was skipping school to smoke cigarettes, like, without my parents knowing about it. I was like 14, 15. So
Oh,
since that time, you're actually working on AI and learning about it and developing it, which is quite fantastic.
I'm revealing my age now. I'm above the line of 40. So funnily enough, not only that, I actually started my first degree in systems engineering and AI in 2001, finished it in 2005, and I did it in the University of Malta. Malta is a fantastic country in the middle of the Mediterranean, smallest EU member. But in Malta, if things fail, no one hears about them. If things succeed, everyone else hears about them. So it was one of the first universities in the world that did an AI first degree. And I was lucky enough to actually have a first degree in AI, then a master's, and then the PhD. So it's not 2011. I think it's a journey that started in 2001 or two. So
Fantastic. Well, look, I know a lot about Malta. Shout out to Malta, by the way. It's a
shout
great
out to
place to go into
Malta. It's
vacation.
home. I love Malta.
365 days a year, you can do vacations in Malta. Good. Now, I want to understand, you've built companies, you're advising companies, you're providing infrastructure. Scaling has probably been a challenge for your companies, for the ones that you're advising. what were the key bottlenecks and issues that you saw through the years, and potentially because you've been doing business for a while, how they evolved with the change in times?
It's a very, very good question. And maybe you can, with this, you get a glimpse into how the weird way my brain works. Like my brain is mathematical, but also sees not only numbers, but letters. So when you say scale, I see systems. You have to develop your systems. I have to see culture. You have to develop your culture. You have to see alignment. You have to be aligned within across all the operations of a company. I have to see leverage. So you have to have leverage that gives you the like against the competition something that you're way better, and you have to experiment, or sometimes we say guesstimation. You know, you can guess and estimate, so it's like a guesstimation game. But if you manage to have your systems in place from day one, then you'll be able to build. If you manage to nail your culture, then you will be able at the second stage to grow the company because the culture is already there. If you have, if you are able to create alignment, which is again, when building companies and scaling teams, alignment is important because one team member can make or break a company. You know, it's not because some people are good, some people are bad. It's just like you. Some people call it
It's about having
chemistry.
the same mission.
Exactly. Some people call it chemistry, some people call it alignment, some people call it, you know, like heterogeneity, homogeneity, whatever. But for me, it's like you need to make sure that everyone aligns towards exactly like you said, the mission. You need to see what you're good at. So I was being interviewed earlier, some other interview, and said, "What's the advice you give to all founders and stuff?" Because everyone says follow your dreams. I say I really don't like telling people follow your dream. I love telling people be the best at what you can do and give it so much time to become the best. If you're not talented, you can still outwork the competition. So that's how you get leverage. You need to have that leverage. You need to find what you are better than the others at. That's the only way to grow. It's like almost a biological organism, you know, it's anti-fragile, you know, like you need to come under stress to be able to get stronger, which is why if we work out, and I don't want to take off my shirt,
Oh
but
no,
you know,
let's
like
do a
I,
competition.
I,
Let's do it.
no, but you know, when you put your body under stress, when you put it under
You
like
get better.
certain tension, you get better and you get bigger, right? And you get leaner and you get faster and you get healthier.
I'm just getting fatter. I don't know how it's happening, but you know, in my case, I must be doing something wrong.
No, no, we need to see what you're eating. So because you know, like the food is also important.
Yes.
But and then you need, as I said, to experiment because if you keep staying where you're staying, then you are not gonna exit that. We call it a local minima. You get stuck in a little hole. You need that extra push or like that
So you
shaking
can
of
jump out of it.
exactly that shaking of you know the sieve to make you go to the next level, which is very very important. Sometimes you need to shock the system. Sometimes you need to make a shuffle or reshuffle. It happens in politics all the time for the wrong reasons. But you know, sometimes you really need to move things around to see whether you can move from A to B, and that's incredibly important.
So systems, culture, alignment, and showing up in general and doing the hard work. Now, when it comes to the systems, nowadays I feel like a lot of businesses have a difficulty because they think a system, I mean, right now, getting a system is quite easier than what it would be before because I can just get yours, more or less. You have a certain blueprint which is already tested in multiple companies. I can get yours, okay?
Yeah.
I can purchase it from you, or you will gladly give it to me if you're the VC investing in it. Enforcing or adapting, whether sometimes you need to enforce, sometimes the team adapts, right? The team integrates to the system,
Correct.
is where a lot of founders are struggling with. Let's take some very small thing as an example. I had a guest earlier. People showing up on camera on a team meeting can be something that is so easily. For me, it's a no-brainer. Everyone should have a camera open, but somehow it's super difficult to implement into a modern company. So how do we ensure that we make people either integrate, or sometimes when we have to enforce, we enforce the system to our people?
That's a very, very good question. The way I like to look at it is from a bi-directional process. I have to see the end result. If Mr. X, who hates showing on camera, but if we don't let we don't force him to show on camera, then the output that comes from Mr. X or Mrs. X is actually very high, very productive, very good, exactly what we need from them, and that's their way. Then enforcing certain things maybe is not the right approach because the output is going to be affected. At the same time, if that input of them not showing camera is going to impact the greater side of the team, because we happen to be a team that are very personal, very introverted, and Mr. X not showing is going to, let's say, misalign them out of the team, then that is not going to be productive. So that's why I say it's bi-directional. If I look at the middle, and if that situation is not going to cause the whole, let's say, team on one side to be affected, and they're fine with it, they understand Mr. or Mrs. X have that certain quirk, but I know that the productivity is incredibly high, and if I mess with that, it's going to decrease the productivity, which will then affect some other things. Then the old adage, sometimes common wisdom and the wisdom of the ancestors is very good. And by the way, my book is called Artificial Wisdom, the next
Wisdom.
frontier of AI. So common wisdom dictates like if it's not broken,
Do
don't
not fix it. Yes.
And if something is giving me the right maximum output, and if I'm achieving the maximum potential of a certain system mechanism, let's not try
Let's
to
not mess
enforce.
with it. Let's work with something
We have to
external.
be we have to be logical and rational. The problem with human behavior is that we are irrational, but we're predictably irrational, which is why we end up being self-destructive in a very predictable way. Extreme examples why we caused wars and world wars and stuff is just human irrationality. So we need to tame that. And that's why, again, with my concept of artificial wisdom, we come up with frameworks that systematically try to tame that in a way that squeezes the best out of everyone at any given situation without affecting the whole organism. Because at the end of the day, you need to calibrate.
This conversation is mega interesting. I want us to get into a rapid fire session to close it.
Let's go.
Because this will be what are your main pain points without actually going into breaking them down. So this will be a rapid fire session. 3 words. Key to scaling globally. Only 3 words.
Ambition, passion, and putting time. Putting time to words, but you have to put the time.
Ambition,
Passion,
passion, and putting time. That's one word. We understand where you were going.
putting time, yeah.
What's the weirdest compliance rule you've ever seen?
Judging people on where they come from. That's the weirdest. We have compliance systems that fail just because a person happened to have been born in the wrong part of the world. That is moronic, excuse me, but it's so stupid.
It's exactly what it is. Last question. Not more from you, but for the companies that you're advising. If money and time was not an object, where would you want them to expand next?
Say again the
if
question.
Money and time wasn't an object, so you didn't have to think about money and time, where would be the market that you advise them to attack now?
Well, I am incredibly biased. I'm a machine learning guy, and I think like machine learning and the future like of robotics and machine, the intersection between them is where the future is heading. I don't know for the good or the right reasons, but I have 2 little boys. I know for a fact that 20 years from now, they'll either have a best friend who's a robot, or they'll be leading the human rebellion against the robots in a post-apocalyptic world. It will go either way, so we need to embrace that wisely.
I hope scenario number 1, man, because I will not have the energy 20 years from now. I will be fat to chase, actually, robots to chase me or me to chase robots.
Exactly, they'll eat us alive.
Fantastic. Good. Well, it was a pleasure having you here. I will gladly be reading your book.
I would love to give
I
you
would
a
also
signed
love
copy.
if you would, you write something for me. I
100%.
probably, maybe.
May I write it now?
Yes, please.
And may I say it out loud?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm just gonna stand.
Go global, not nuts.